Hello and welcome back to the lab. Today on the bench we have a HP 5345A electronic counter with option C. So from what I know about this unit is option C is this is a 100 megahertz counter with option C taking it up to 1.3 gigahertz. So pretty nice unit. Not quite sure what we have in here. We have a cal date of 4 April of 85. It's been a while since this thing has seen a lab. And the only thing we know about it is my hardware on the top panel is missing. Big, nice cave-in on this side and a popped fuse. So we're going to see if we can't get this thing working, address all the issues, and get it back up to counting things. I have no idea what's in this. I haven't even taken the covers off of this yet. So you and I are going to experience this together. If we do get it powered up, we will definitely give it a good cleanup. It does need to be dusted. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to come out of it. And then maybe we'll see if we can find this one a home. Not quite sure yet, but we're going to see what we can to get this thing up and going. All right, we'll take the top cover off, push it back, lift it up. Okie dokie. What do we have here? Well, we have the option 1. We have the oven. So that's a nice big crystal. Nice beefy power transformer. Good fan. Let's see. Bearings are okay on the fan. This is our option C. Power supply would be here. There's a bunch of vents underneath of that and everything else. And I think I may have already seen the problem with the power supply. Let's take a look. Looking straight down into this unit, pardon the camera bobbles, we have 2 reefa caps right on the power supply. So those have to go. They are cracked and dead. That might be what took the fuse out. Now, given that this is a linear supply, big giant transformer tells us that, we can spin this up slowly on a variac, which we will do after we get those reefa caps out of there. So let me cut those reefa caps out, and get those off the power pins. We will not be going back in with those. What's going to go back in is going to be something completely different. But for now, I'll just get them disconnected. We'll put a fuse in, and then we'll see if it blows the fuse immediately, indicating we may have deeper problems. It could be as simple as those capacitors. All right, so we have a 2 amp fuse in there instead of an amp, 2.5 amp. And the unit is drawing 27 watts, which isn't too bad, considering that the oven's probably firing up and cold and working on warming up. I do not see any dead shorts out of the bulbs. We'll try to hit the power button. No magic smoke, but the voltage dropped to 85, and my bulbs came on. Here's what one of the dim bulbs looks like. I got 4 of them switched in, so they are looking okay, and we're drawing about an amp out of the unit. It's not starting correctly, but it's also a little low on power at the moment. We have a front display, which is promising. So we're going to give it the beans, and I'm going to kick the light bulbs out. We'll move it over to the unisolated supply and watch what it does. All right, so we do have the frequency counter in check mode, so it is looking like it. We'll take this off. And we're gating. So that's looking really, really good. I believe this is a 100 megahertz counter, I want to say. So we'll give it 10 megahertz to start and see where we go. All right, we have 0 dBm of 10 megahertz going in the front end. Frequency A. AC coupled. 1 megohm input impedance. Set level. All right, so we are now gating, and we'll do... That looks good, bringing it out of check mode, and it's counting. So from a sanity standpoint, we have primarily a good unit. All right. Positive slope. And the clock is not too far off. As it's warming up, it's coming down. This is being fed by the Rigol, which is on the GPSDO. Or not the GPSDO, the rubidium. So it's got a nice stable clock. But this clock is coming in really, really nice. We'll give it a little bit more time. Get some more digits out of this thing. I am not unhappy with that at all. Let's check the plug-in, because it does have a plug-in part, so we can kick it over to channel C. Let's see if our channel C works. Well, it wasn't counting, and I just moved the attenuator switch, so my switches are a little dusty and cleaned, but that is fantastic. Yeah, I'm really not going to complain about that. This frequency counter is up and running. So, what we got to do next? Well, I got to replace those two capacitors. These REFA caps are what took it out. That's going to be a little tricky because that plug is a royal pain to get to. So we'll have to get in there and get those capacitors replaced. I'm not sure how far the teardown is going to be on this. Bearing in the fan doesn't sound too bad. We are definitely going to clean this out. I got to fix the dent in the lid, clean this up, lube these switches, get all the controls back to rights, and get this thing counting again. But, like, I cannot be happier with the readings. I don't know how long this has been off. Well, the last cal was 85? Yeah, April 4th of 85. And I'm putting a 10 megahertz signal in. And so the crystal, once it's warmed up, it's even still really, really solid. So I'm actually ecstatic about that. All right. We've got the mains interface out of the back of the unit, and it is an absolute pain in the butt to get it out of there. I had to take this door off, and then you have to pry these metal wings out of the way and get it to pop out. So this side comes out first, at least the way I did it, and then that side, and then you pry against the case and push everything sideways to get this side out, but you have to bend top and bottom tabs at the same time. For it being a simple mechanism, it is surprisingly durable and difficult to get out of there. These should be pins, so we're going to see if the sockets come out. If the sockets come out great, it'll let us fix this outside of the unit and give me much better access. If the sockets don't come out, well, then we'll figure out plan B. All right, the sockets did pop out, and we are set to go. So I'm warming up the soldering irons to replace these capacitors, and we have neutral and we have line, and the line is it would be shorted to ground through the cap, so I'm almost 100% sure that cap's shorted, and that's what caused the fuse to go away. All right, to go back in, we have proper safety capacitors, and this thing's a little weird. It's not going to be easily replaceable because this is also probably this is the line voltage selector. How these pins get plugged in is how the line selection voltage is determined, so just something to note. All right, and here we go. 2 proper XY safety caps installed and ready to go. Now all I got to do is get these pins hooked back up. We took a photograph before we unhooked it, so we know where everything goes. All right, we've triple checked the wiring, and everything looks good. Right now it's drawing about 25 watts because it's heating up the oven. But we will put this in check mode, so we should see numbers when it's happy. Turn it to auto digits, and we'll do about a 1 second gate time. Well, that looks good. And there we go. All right, so next up is put the covers on And then we're going to let this burn for a little bit. Also, the display cleaned up pretty good. I do have to get some Sharpie off of here, but the display actually cleaned up quite nicely. Got all the controls kind of, they're not gritty anymore. Cleaned up the selector switches on the function knob and the gate time. And also cleaned up the connector for channel C. Lubricated some rails so the plug-in slides in and out without getting crunchy anymore, which is also nice. So I'm going to put the bottom cover back on, and then we're going to beat the top cover, or beat the dent out of the top cover, and put the top cover back on, and then just let this thing cook for a little while. All right, well, the covers went back on without a problem, so we'll let it do some burn-in testing and make sure everything seems good. I guess the next question we need to answer is, should we or should we not rebuild the regulators? I did look at the capacitors, and I'll pull them out for camera, but they did appear to be in good shape. There was nothing, at least visually, concerning with them other than age. Drawing about 100 watts, 1.2 amps, so that 2 amp fuse is going to be all right. Safety caps seem to be doing well. Going to check one of these reefa caps here in a minute. Well, right now they're not the meter booted up. Let's see what we see. Ohms across it. Overflow. Huh. Well, these caps are still testing good, but I wouldn't trust them. They're already started to crack, and they're known for it, so maybe the fuse just got tired. Fuses can wear out, and they can just pop. It's not unheard of, but I expected those caps to be a dead short. Now, moving them around, messing with them, and heating them up with a soldering iron could have facilitated to them deciding to re-enter the chat for a little bit. But those will not be trusted for long-term service. So, just going to let this sit and do its thing and come back and see what we got going on. The switches are moving a lot better since they've been cleaned and got a little bit of lubrication in them. Okay, well, we have checked the very fast and the very slow. We are at 99.996843943 millihertz on the display. I have a 1 hertz waveform coming out of the 8904. Want to check the slow end. Everything looks good. We have a gate time of 1,000 seconds, so that's roughly about 16 minutes, which is pretty substantial. Couple of interesting things about this unit that I got wrong in the beginning. This is a 500 megahertz counter, not a 100 megahertz counter. And channel C is just that. This is not a prescaler or anything like that. This is just a third channel. So that's what we have here. These units do have a prescaler option, and I have another one of these chassis to get up on the bench that also says it's no good. Curious if it's just fuse and some coupling caps, but it could be more than that. We'll find out when we get into that particular restoration. But since I have another one of these units and I have an open bay, I'm going to poke around, see if I can't get another prescaler for one of these, get this to count a little bit quicker. So, if you'd like to comment and want to keep the videos coming, hit all the YouTube buttons, like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like some additional content, check out the Patreon page. Patrons are running up, I think it's 5 videos ahead at the moment, and so there's some additional content up there. Nothing is behind the paywall, but their support to the channel helps more than anybody could know. They definitely help keep the lights on around here. So, if you'd like to help me accelerate and get some more videos, more content out there, hop on over to the Patreon page. A little bit of support to the channel. Thank you to everyone who is over there. Your help is greatly appreciated. And with that, I will see everybody in the next video. And as always, more is always on the way.